Mars Attacks, 1996, is one of the strangest films ever made by the talented director Tim Burton. This is not just a cinematic work, but also a chaotic explosion where all the rules of Hollywood are turned upside down. A film that dares to kill off its main cast, brings bug-eyed aliens to the screen, and uses yodeling to save the world. Despite failing miserably at the US box office, Tim Burton's work has lived on in the hearts of fans thanks to its quirkiness and undeniable cult classic quality. So, what made Mars Attacks such a special piece of work? Let's explore 20 bizarre and surprising facts, details you may have never heard of, about this one-of-a-kind film. 1. Jack Nicholson died twice. Tim Burton didn't just give Jack Nicholson one role, but two. In Mars Attacks, Nicholson plays President James Dale, a calm and composed leader who ultimately gets blown away, quite literally, by aliens. On top of that, he also portrays Artland, a scheming Vegas businessman who meets an equally grim fate when he's crushed by a giant globe. But what's even more interesting is how Jack Nicholson ended up playing both roles. Initially, he was only invited to play President Dale. However, Jack loved the script so much that he wanted to take on another role as well. Instead of declining, Burton rewrote the entire script to kill Jack twice. This not only highlights Burton's bold filmmaking style, but also Nicholson's daring spirit. Even when killed off twice, Jack manages to keep his signature grin. Looking back, this is one of the film's strangest yet most entertaining details, too. Michael J. Fox was cut midway. Michael J. Fox, the famed star of Back to the Future, was killed off by Tim Burton in a way that couldn't have been more unexpected. At first, Jason Stone, Fox's character, was intended to be one of the survivors. As a witty and clever reporter, his character was expected to be the audience's anchor amidst the film's chaos. But when Burton reviewed the early scenes, he felt the story needed a stronger element of surprise. As a result, Fox's character was rewritten to die halfway through the film. Jason Stone's death scene became one of the most bizarre and memorable moments in Mars Attacks. He melts into a puddle of goo while trying to save his girlfriend, played by Sarah Jessica Parker. Killing Michael J. Fox early on wasn't just a bold decision, it was a statement from the film. No one is safe in Mars Attacks. Even the biggest stars could be wiped out at any moment. This left audiences both shocked and intrigued. 3. A movie where no one survives. Tim Burton doesn't make films to appease everyone, and Mars Attacks is the clearest example of that. In the original script, Burton wanted to take the concept of no one survives to the extreme. Every single character, from heroes to villains, would be killed by the aliens. No exceptions. However, this bold idea terrified Warner Brothers. They pleaded with Burton to keep at least a few characters alive so audiences would have something to hold on to. After much debate, Burton reluctantly agreed, but instead of letting the heroes survive, he chose Tom Jones and a group of animals. The ending of the film is absurdly unbelievable. Tom Jones sings "It's Not Unusual" amidst the ruins of Las Vegas, surrounded by animals and a handful of lucky survivors. This wasn't the ending the studio had hoped for, but it perfectly captured the satirical spirit of the film. The result? An ending that is absurd, humorous, and unforgettable. Burton proved that sometimes breaking traditional rules is the key to making something special. For him, absurdity is art. 4. Yodeling saves the world. Among all the ways to save the world ever portrayed on screen, none is as ridiculous as using yodeling. That's right. In Mars Attacks, the song Indian Love Call by Slim Whitman, a 1950s country yodel, turns out to be the ultimate weapon against the aliens. Whenever the song is played, the aliens' heads explode like popcorn. Warner Brothers was far from pleased with this idea. They thought it was so silly that it could ruin the entire movie. They asked Burton to change it, but he flatly refused. Burton even threatened to leave the project if this detail was cut. For him, the yodeling wasn't just a joke. It was the highlight, the soul of the film. And Burton was right. The scene of aliens dying en masse to a yodeling song not only made audiences burst out laughing, but also became one of the most iconic moments in Mars Attacks. Slim Whitman, who was almost forgotten, suddenly experienced a career revival thanks to the film 5. Inspired by a banned violent trading card set from 1962, Mars Attacks didn't start with a script or a fully formed movie idea. It began with a pulp-style trading card set released in 1962. This trading card set, also called Mars Attacks, was infamous for its violent and controversial imagery. Soldiers being melted, cows exploding, and dogs incinerated under alien laser beams. The card's unfiltered violence caused a public outcry, leading to them being pulled from shelves almost immediately. But decades later, Tim Burton stumbled across the cards and was instantly captivated. For him, it wasn't just the violence, it was the dark humour and chaotic spirit, a vibe that Hollywood rarely explored. Burton decided to channel that spirit into a film, not as a serious homage to alien invasion movies, but as a complete deconstruction of the genre. The result was Mars Attacks, a film unlike any other, where chaos reigns and no one is safe. 6. The constantly changing cast. Imagine being Tim Burton, preparing to create an ambitious sci-fi movie. You want an A-list cast to ensure public attention. Hugh Grant, Susan Sarandon, and a lineup of big stars were initially targeted to join Mars Attacks. But then, everything started to go off the rails. As the script became increasingly bizarre, from Congress being destroyed within the first few minutes to Tom Jones surviving with a group of animals, stars began to drop out one by one. Many couldn't understand what the film was about. Big names like Hugh Grant and Susan Sarandon quickly left the project, leaving Burton with a tough challenge. But Burton didn't give up. He rebuilt the cast with unexpected names, including Pierce Brosnan, Glenn Close, Jack Nicholson, and Danny DeVito. Interestingly, the chaos during casting ended up creating the perfect ensemble for the film's crazy spirit. Danny DeVito only played a small cameo, a hapless gambler killed almost immediately, but he was so excited about the project that he joined without hesitation. Meanwhile, Glenn Close and Pierce Brosnan delivered performances dripping with satire, perfectly matching the script's absurdity. 7. Stop motion was scrapped. Initially, Tim Burton wanted to bring the aliens of Mars Attacks to life using traditional stop-motion animation. For Burton, a devoted fan of handcrafted animation, stop-motion wasn't just a technique, but a nostalgic art form. He even hired renowned animator Barry Purves to design the jerky, bizarre movements of the aliens. But once again, Warner Brothers stepped in. The studio deemed stop-motion too expensive and time-consuming, especially for a big-budget film like Mars Attacks. In the end, Burton was forced to agree to use CGI instead. However, he found a way to preserve the essence of stop-motion. The result? The CGI aliens in Mars Attacks lack the smoothness of modern CGI characters. They move awkwardly and unnaturally, as if they belong to another world entirely. While Burton couldn't fully realise his original vision, he still made his aliens unforgettable. Even more intriguing, years after the film's release, the scrapped stop-motion test footage surfaced online, revealing a version of Mars Attacks that could have been even creepier and weirder. 8. Tom Jones and his condition. I must sing. When Tom Jones was invited to play himself in Mars Attacks, he had one simple request. I'll do it, but I must sing. As always, Tim Burton said, yes. Not only that, Burton rewrote the film's ending so that Tom Jones could stand amidst the ruins of Las Vegas and sing It's Not Unusual. In a movie where everything defies logic, the appearance of Tom Jones, as one of the surviving heroes, elevated the absurdity to new heights. His final scene is a mix of humour and surrealism. Surrounded by the wreckage of humanity, Tom Jones belts out a song, accompanied by wildlife and a few lucky survivors. Interestingly, this scene didn't originally exist, but with Tom Jones's request, Burton not only added the singing moment, but turned it into one of the film's most unforgettable scenes. 9. Danny Elfman's reunion with Tim Burton. Danny Elfman and Tim Burton were once Hollywood's golden duo. From Batman to Edward Scissorhands, Elfman created iconic scores for Burton's films. However, after working together on The Nightmare Before Christmas, their relationship fell apart. Burton moved on to collaborate with other composers, while Elfman focused on his own projects. For Mars Attacks, Burton initially sought a new composer, but no one could capture the chaos and madness the film required. Eventually, he decided to reconcile with Elfman, who was ready to return with his genius. The score for Mars Attacks is a symphony of chaos, loud, intense, and utterly insane. Elfman transformed every scene into a musical assault, perfectly matching the bug-eyed aliens and endless explosions. The aliens originally had full dialogue. At first, Burton wanted the aliens in Mars Attacks to have their own language. The original script even included full lines of dialogue for the alien characters, written in a fictional language. Voice actors recorded the entire script, and the filmmakers synchronized the dialogue with the aliens' movements. But when Burton reviewed the footage, he hated the result. The sound was too human and didn't align with the film's absurd tone. So, Burton made a bold decision. He scrapped all the dialogue and replaced it with the iconic ack ack sound. This sound didn't just become a symbol of Mars Attacks, but also one of the funniest aspects of the film. It was a strange choice, yet perfectly fitting for Tim Burton's style. Illogical, unexpected, and completely unique, Slim Whitman revived his career from a single scene. For Slim Whitman, a country singer who had reached the peak of his fame in the 1950s, everything seemed to have faded into obscurity until Mars Attacks came along. But one scene changed everything. Burton decided to use Whitman's song Indian Love Call as the ultimate weapon against the aliens. The song's unique yodel caused the aliens' heads to explode, and this absurdity quickly became legendary. Initially, no one believed that a yodeling song from the 1950s could have any impact. But when the movie premiered, Indian Love Call unexpectedly became a phenomenon. Viewers not only laughed at the ridiculousness of the scene, but also started searching for Slim Whitman on music platforms. Whitman not only regained his fame, but also sold a significant number of albums thanks to the film. Burton even revealed that one of his favourite moments was hearing theatre audiences burst into laughter every time the song played. This proved that sometimes, seemingly nonsensical details could have an impact far beyond expectations. The result? From a seemingly forgotten artist, Slim Whitman suddenly returned to the spotlight, proving once again that cinema has the power to revive the unlikeliest of things. Burton turned down a dinosaur movie to focus on aliens before Mars Attacks came to be. Burton was offered another film project based on the dinosaurs attack, Trading Cards, a concept similar to Mars Attacks, but with dinosaurs instead of aliens. While the idea of rampaging dinosaurs sounded appealing, Burton quickly declined. The reason? He didn't want to be compared to Jurassic Park, Steven Spielberg's blockbuster dinosaur movie that had come out just a few years earlier. Instead, Burton chose Mars Attacks because the trading cards offered something more unique, a mix of cartoonish violence and dark humour. He wanted to create a film not only distinct from Jurassic Park, but also one that shattered every convention of the sci-fi genre. This decision not only allowed Burton to avoid Spielberg's shadow, but also gave him the opportunity to unleash his wildest creative ideas. With Mars Attacks, Burton was free to experiment with absurd concepts, from killing off the main characters to using yodeling as a weapon against aliens. The result was a film unlike any other. Martin Short's unforgettable terrible guy role in Mars Attacks. Martin Short plays Press Secretary Jerry Ross, a sleazy, womanizing presidential aide who is utterly useless during the alien invasion. This was one of Short's most unconventional roles, as he was typically known for playing lovable, comedic characters. But in this film, he fully embraced the role of a detestable jerk, making audiences both hate and laugh at him. Jerry Ross wasn't just a bad guy, he also made some of the dumbest decisions in the entire film. One of the most memorable moments is when Ross invites an alien disguised as Martian Girl into the White House, simply because he's attracted to her bizarre appearance. The result? Martian Girl immediately kills him, leaving behind a death scene that's both hilarious and absurd. Las Vegas was destroyed. Literally, one of the most memorable scenes in Mars Attacks is the total destruction of Las Vegas by the aliens. But what many people don't know is that this scene wasn't just CGI or typical movie effects. To make the destruction feel real, Burton had an incredibly detailed miniature model of Las Vegas built, from hotels and casinos to its bustling streets. This model was crafted by a team of skilled artisans and took months to complete. But in just a few minutes, Burton had the entire miniature destroyed in a chaotic sequence. Buildings collapsed, neon signs burned, and the entire miniature Las Vegas was reduced to rubble. Burton explained that using a real model made the scene more vivid and also evoked the nostalgic feel of 1950s sci-fi movies. This reflected his signature filmmaking style, always willing to sacrifice anything to achieve the best visual effect. Danny DeVito's tiny but unforgettable cameo. Danny DeVito is one of Hollywood's biggest stars, but in Mars Attacks, his role was a mere cameo. He played a hapless gambler who appeared briefly only to be killed almost immediately. Yet, despite the small role, DeVito completely stole the show every time he was on screen. With his natural humor and distinctive acting style, DeVito turned his character into a minor but delightful highlight of the film. Burton even revealed that DeVito volunteered for the role simply because he loved the script's absurdity. The way DeVito's character dies, shot by aliens while trying to escape, is one of the moments that made audiences laugh out loud. This cameo not only added to the film's ridiculousness, but also demonstrated that in a movie like Mars Attacks, no role is too small to make a big impact. 16. Martian Girl and the Pain of Lisa Marie. Martian Girl is one of the most memorable characters in Mars Attacks, with her ghostly white face, quirky smile, and unnatural movements. However, few people know the price Lisa Marie, Tim Burton's girlfriend at the time, had to pay to bring this character to life. Lisa Marie spent months training with a mime expert to perfect Martian Girl's strange and otherworldly movements. But the most grueling challenge was her costume, a skin-tight latex dress that made it nearly impossible for her to breathe deeply or sit down. To enhance the character's surreal appearance, she had to wear a contorted metal frame inside the dress, which caused strain on her spine throughout filming. Despite the pain, Lisa Marie delivered an outstanding performance, making Martian Girl an iconic part of Mars Attacks, simultaneously terrifying, seductive, and utterly unique. This character later became a major source of inspiration in pop culture, from cosplay to shows like RuPaul's Drag Race. 17. Unlucky clash with Independence Day. If you think Mars Attacks was a parody of Independence Day, you're mistaken. In reality, Mars Attacks began development long before Independence Day was released. However, the unfortunate timing of their releases led to constant comparisons between the two films. Independence Day was a serious alien invasion blockbuster, featuring spectacular visuals, a star-studded cast, and an inspiring message of unity. In contrast, Mars Attacks took the opposite approach: satire, chaos, and a blatant disregard for conventional storytelling. Tim Burton was determined to create a wacky masterpiece where humans weren't traditional heroes, but bumbling fools easily wiped out by aliens. However, when Independence Day premiered a few months earlier and became a global sensation, Mars Attacks was overshadowed at the box office, Many viewers even assumed that Burton's film was an attempt to mock Independence Day, despite this being untrue. 18. A flop in the US but a success internationally. When Mars Attacks was released in the United States, it was a box office disaster. Audiences didn't understand the dark humour and absurdist tone of the film. Furthermore, being compared to Independence Day didn't help, as Mars Attacks was dismissed as too weird and unworthy of attention. Surprisingly, while the film flopped in the US, it was warmly received overseas. In countries like France and Japan, audiences appreciated the film's unique style, from Martian Girl's bizarre character to the hilariously illogical yet entertaining plot points. In Europe, where audiences often celebrated satire and artistic experimentation, Mars Attacks was hailed as a pop art masterpiece filled with campy charm. Meanwhile, in Japan, known for its appreciation of eccentric and unconventional pop culture, the film quickly won over fans. Although Mars Attacks didn't succeed financially in the US, Burton proved that a movie doesn't need to cater to every market to be memorable. Sometimes, all it takes is finding the right audience, and for Mars Attacks, that audience existed beyond American borders. 19. Martian Girl becomes a drag icon. Martian Girl from Mars Attacks isn't just one of the most memorable images from the film. It's also become an icon in drag culture and camp fashion. With her pale white face, bold red lips, and quirky walk, Martian Girl created a character that's both terrifying and alluring, unlike any other in cinematic history. After the film's release, Martian Girl quickly became a source of inspiration for drag artists worldwide. Her unforgettable look frequently appeared in shows like RuPaul's Drag Race, where contestants reimagined her through bold and creative costumes. Additionally, Martian Girl left a lasting impact on fashion and art. Many designers have drawn inspiration from her character, creating collections that embrace camp aesthetics and retro futuristic styles. Lisa Marie, the actress who played Martian Girl, once admitted she never expected her character to have such a profound cultural influence. However, with her unique and groundbreaking portrayal, Martian Girl has become more than just a part of Mars Attacks. She's a timeless icon 20. From flop to cult classic. When Mars Attacks first hit theaters, it was a critical and commercial failure. However, like an unusual fairy tale, the film gradually found its place among devoted fans and became a cult classic, a work cherished by a niche audience that embraces the strange and unconventional. What made Mars Attacks a cult favourite? Its sheer originality. From its dark humour and eccentric characters to its absurd moments like aliens exploding at the sound of yodeling, the film boldly defied Hollywood norms. Over time, audiences began to view Mars Attacks not as a failure but as a unique piece of art. Critics have re-evaluated the movie, praising Burton's bold vision and creativity. Today, Mars Attacks is more than just a film. It's a symbol of embracing individuality and proof that box office failure doesn't mean the end. For fans of the weird and chaotic, Mars Attacks remains a captivating little planet in the cinematic universe. Thank you for watching. If you love the quirky charm of Mars Attacks, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to discover more fascinating facts about cinema. What do you think about this movie? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next video.